So this is very, very important for this particular team. We've also got Shanks and Ben Beckman, who are really nice in this fight for their switch ability to remove Bind and Despair, as well as their special ability providing a really good amount of extra damage. Sabo and Koala are very powerful, allowing us to get an attack boost on all characters on this team, aside from the Katakuri, and whenever Luffy and Law are in their dual form. Unfortunately, they don't get the attack boost, but they have a really powerful special as well with their switch ability, where you can get a color affinity every single turn for your Cerebral and Free Spirit characters. V2 Katakuri is probably the most essential character for this fight, as you use him on one of these stages to just burst it down. You do a lot of damage with this special, of course, and the support Cracker is very, very required for this team as well, as when you're inflicted with all the chain debuffs, his support ability removes it all and applies a 0.7 chain boost on top of it. So the support Cracker is very important for Katakuri as well. And then the last character is the recent character I pulled in the Sugo Fest, Shirahoshi and Mancherry, also very important for this fight, as with their special you'll be able to obviously get a full heal as well as full board of orbs, removing debuffs as well. One of these stages is literally built for Shirahoshi and Mancherry to clear, which I'm not really too big of a fan of, but when we get to it in this fight, you guys will see it specifically which dungeon it is or which stage it is. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into GARP Challenge version 6. Okay, so now getting into GARP Challenge version 6, of course we're using the team that we just went ahead and talked about, and first thing is first, one thing that I actually forgot to mention in the team breakdown before I stopped recording that little clip at the end, I do have to mention that you do need maximum poison resistance sockets for this team to function in this piece of content, which furthermore states the fact as to why this piece of content is extremely difficult. You need to have poison sockets because there is a Magellan stage in this fight, and either you have a support ability that can remove it, however we need the Beppo support on the Luffy and Law in order to get rid of that. So unfortunately we can't bring Ivankov to remove the poison, which actually would have made our lives a whole lot easier, you know, instead of having to feed the poison resistant sockets, which is always nice. You know, if you do keep those, very, very important to keep all the tomes, because you never know when you're going to need them. And for content like this, yes, the sockets are very, very important. Now, one thing I do have to say as well, if you are building with this specific team, you got to make sure that you have a matching slot on Katakuri before moving on to stage 3 against Kuzan, because every other unit, aside from obviously Shanks and Ben Beckman, can guarantee themselves a matching orb with their switch effect, and you do need a matching slot in order to break through Kuzan on this turn here. Another thing as well is that if your Shanks and Ben Beckman is binded on this stage, you will have to reset before the preemptive attack ends in order to make sure that they are not binded, of course, because you need their switch effect to unbind your characters on your team. And of course, with the matching slot on Katakuri, you're able to just go ahead and KO Kuzan on turn 1 just with the switch abilities. He does revive up to 50% health, and getting some matching orbs definitely helps here. I thought I was actually going to die with this specific run. However, I was actually kind of lucky and I was able to kill it still, surprisingly. I did do some test runs obviously before this trying to clear it for you guys, and I was in this situation here where I only had one orb and I didn't kill, so I was actually really surprised that this one did kill this time around. Very, very odd. And the next one after this is the Lucci fight. The Lucci fight is specifically where you need the Legend Cracker support ability attached to V2 Katakuri, because on this stage, he'll go ahead and give you the chain coefficient reduction and the chain lock for 3 turns, and then Cracker obviously removes it by 3 turns, and then applies I think it's a 0.7 chain boost on top of it, so really useful to have. Again, stating why Luffy and Law are so good for this fight, as the switch ability of whichever character you switched is able to bypass defensive effects. So we can use all of our attacks here, and of course no one's really doing enough damage, but because the Law character bypasses the barriers, we're able to just do a lot of damage towards him, and we do definitely abuse that once again, their switch ability on this stage here against Gecko Moria. Now this stage is ridiculous because he actually blinds you as well, but of course with the sailor abilities that we have, we're able to resist that, but he does have a 3-hit quick barrier. You have to hit him with 3 quick orbs before you deal damage to him, but of course if you switch into Luffy, you can just bypass it with his regular attacks, which is useful. Again, the Sabo and Koala switch ability, once again, is showing how powerful that is, giving us a 1.5 color affinity to Free Spirit and Cerebral. And of course, whenever you are Law or Luffy, you get that color affinity boost, and when they are combined, you do not get that color affinity boost. But on the second turn, we're able to use the Shanks and Ben Beckman, the switch ability as well with Luffy and Law. We already get the Chain Lock, we have a color affinity from Shanks and Ben Beckman, and the attack boost from the Luffy switch. So that's enough damage over 2 turns to KO the Moria. Now, this Kuma is pretty annoying. What happens is he does blow away a character. If he blows away your Sabo and Koala, that's kind of an issue. And also, I don't think he can actually blow away any character. I think it's only the character that's in the Shanks and Ben Beckman position and the character that's in the Katakuri position. Out of all the times I've made it to the Kuma stage, he's only blown away the character in the middle right or the bottom left. It's only ever been those 2 characters, although I'm not really 100% sure if he does blow away any of the other characters on your crew. But if he blows away Katakuri, that's the best case scenario, and it enables you to do enough damage towards Kuma where you're able to just take your time with it, and eventually when you are ready to move on, you can go ahead and do so. One really cool thing is that when you actually KO this Kuma, he lowers the cooldowns of your top row, and I believe he also lowers the cooldowns of Cerebral characters as well. So you can go ahead and use a lot of your specials here, especially if you do have Cerebral units on your team, and you can get your special cooldowns reduced after you kill him, and then you move on to the next stage after this, which is going to be Sentomaru, and Sentomaru definitely will cause a lot of issues for a lot of players. Honestly, just a lot of these stages cause a lot of issues. I guess this is a good time to really talk about this, but this specific GARP challenge is one of the most poorly designed pieces of content in One Piece Treasure Cruise. The fact that you need very niche, specific characters in order to clear it. Good luck doing this in free-to-play, because I would argue it is impossible to clear this in free-to-play. I don't think this is possible without a lot of legends in the game, honestly. Unless if you're insanely lucky with Sugo Fests, or you spend a lot of money in this game, or both of those things, this is going to be hard to clear. And the rewards are very good. You get 30 rainbow gems, you get like 900 cotton candy. It's ridiculous. You get a lot of rewards for clearing this, but I digress. Let's start talking about this dungeon once again. So, the Sentomaru stage, you can see he has the Pacifistas surrounding him as well. He has a 30-hit combo barrier. Once again, the Luffy Law switch ability, allowing us to go through barriers, is going to be the main component of this particular fight as to how we're able to clear it. So you can see we do a lot of damage through the barriers. We have the attack boost from Sabo and Koala. We had the orb boost from Luffy and Law. The switch abilities are going to help us to clear here. Now the thing is if you don't clear Sentomaru by the end of the 3rd turn, moving into the 4th turn, he will summon Kizaru onto this stage, and when he does that, your run is basically over. There are some actually other teams that utilize other characters like Coliseum Jinbei, Dex Rare Recruit Oven, Dual Lucci Kaku. There are some teams that are actually built to kill the Kizaru as well as kill the Sentomaru as well, but it really just does depend on what team composition you're going for this particular GARP challenge. So following Sentomaru, you're going to land on the Magellan stage. Now this is exactly where you will need those poison resistant sockets. Having those will mean that you basically ignore it. You take 0 damage from the poison. You need 20 powers, 20 total sockets on your team in order to avoid the poison. So a lot of your characters are going to have it. And it's really unfortunate, as I said, just the way that they've built this content. Yeah, it just sucks, man. It just sucks. But basically what we're doing here is we do have a lot of debuffs inflicted here. We can see that quick orbs are counted as negative to our team. We get 2 turns of attack down as well, but of course with switching to get those guaranteed matching orbs on our dual units and then activating the switch ability of Shirahoshi Mancherry, we're actually able to give us a full board of rainbow orbs just about every single turn, which is very, very useful to have actually. So Shirahoshi Mancherry kind of MVP for this, that's for sure. Another character that's very good is the Shanks and Ben Beckman once again here, as we can use their switch ability to remove the paralysis that gets inflicted to us every single turn. And I believe they're the characters that have the anti-blind sailor effect. So that's, again, just another reason why this character is really good for this particular team against GARP Challenge version 6. So by hitting perfects every single turn when we have one of our captains as Law, we're able to get a decent amount of healing back, especially when you add pinch healing on top of that if we do get that activated, you know, if we're below a certain threshold, as well as the fact that we have the switchability of Shanks and Ben Beckman. It gives us enough time to just go ahead and stall out the debuffs that get inflicted to our team. Once the debuffs are gone, we're actually going to go ahead and do a pretty good chunk of damage here with the Law captains. We can deal a pretty good chunk of damage, and following that turn is when we're going to do a burst against Magellan. Magellan actually has a lot of HP. There was actually a recording that I did before this one that failed. I literally made it to this point, and when I did the burst turn, activating the Shanks and Ben Beckman special, as well as all our other switch abilities, for some reason he survived on like the most minuscule amount of HP. Got me so triggered, I was so tilted, and I was about to literally leave this for another day. But anyways, the next recording after that was the one that you're seeing right now, which is the one I cleared, which I was really happy about. But as you can see here, we're using the Shanks and Ben Beckman special to give us the chain lock and the color affinity. We can use the switch abilities once again, of course, to get some guaranteed matching slots for our crew. And at this point, we are ready to take down Magellan. Of course, we want to hit perfects with all of our characters, get enough damage output against all of them, and then we can move on to the next stage, the second last stage of the fight, which is against all 3 Admirals. You've got Kuzan, Borsalino, and Sakazuki. All of them are available here, and they do lots of negative debuffs to your team. However, this is the stage in particular that I mentioned earlier on in the video where if you have Shirahoshi Mancherry, your life is a whole lot easier on this stage, right? Because it's literally built for this character to clear this specific stage. We can use their switch ability to remove the slot bind and the special bind, their special ability to give us a full heal, guaranteed full border matching orbs, and remove the 10 turns of burn and the 10 turns of special limit that get inflicted as the preemptive attack here. So yeah, like this, it's so annoying that it's just built around using that specific character. But as I mentioned, there are some other teams without Shirahoshi Mancherry that are able to clear it, which is pretty interesting. I actually haven't seen too many like videos of other teams clearing this, but yeah, that's pretty interesting to see that actually other teams are able to clear it. But we're using the Katakuri special ability here, of course, to get a really nice chunk of damage to just wipe out this content here on this stage. We're leaving it here with Kuzan, and we can just take our time here to make sure that our specials are ready by the time we reach the boss stage. If you leave the other 2 alive, they do lots of bad things, so it's nice to just leave Kuzan here, of course, because we did get the heal from Shirahoshi Mancherry, which means that we were able to tank a lot more extra damage. Now, in my circumstance here, I kind of left Kuzan with a little bit too much HP that I wanted to after the first turn, so I switched into Luffy to get a little bit more damage output against him. But make sure that when you leave this stage, that both of your captains are Law, so that you can switch into Luffy on the final boss stage, which is very important. But at this point, this is where we're about to end the video. We've reached the final boss stage now against the Garp and Sengoku final bosses. They do have 1 turn of damage threshold, which is why we have the support Beppo attached to Luffy and Law. And we're basically just spamming all of our specials and attacking in the right order, of course. You need to attack in the right order, otherwise the team just won't work in terms of damage. You need to make sure that your captain with the Beppo attached is the character that switches first, so that is the character that can bypass defensive effects, so they deal normal damage against Garp, as well as removing the threshold when they hit a perfect. And another really good thing as well is to try and get some beneficial slots before moving into this stage against that Kuzan. So you want to at least try and get a matching orb on Katakuri and also the Shanks and Ben Beckman. As I said before, all the other characters can guarantee themselves some matching slots. You can definitely attach the VV support character to Shanks and Ben Beckman, like what I did for this team exactly. So that's an option, but of course we had the rainbow orb moving into this fight, which was kind of nice. But even if you don't have a matching orb on Katakuri, you are still able to clear this. I did clear this initially without a matching orb on Katakuri, but you need a matching orb on the Shanks and Ben Beckman. That's very important. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.